Welcome back to the Greenville Chamber's Growing a Greater Greenville podcast. We're excited to share with you our Greater Together series on the partnerships that shape Greenville. I'm your host, Carlos Phillips, and today we're sitting down with my friend, Jeff Brown, president of the Greenville Drive. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Carlos. Good to be here.
Glad you're here. Now, before we get started, I want to take a moment to thank the sponsors of today's episode: Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina, First National Bank, and Acumen IT. Thank you to those sponsors. All right, Jeff, you ready to jump in?
I'm ready.
Can you give us an overview of the Greenville Drive and its mission within our community?
Yeah, I think that's the interesting part. We've been here for 19 years. We're a baseball team by trade. When you think of us literally, we know high A affiliate of the Boston Red Sox. Been in downtown Greenville at Floor Field for 19 years. So baseball is our core business. It's why we're here. But the reason that I think, or the main reason why we've stayed here or stayed relevant or kind of stayed kind of top of mind in the community is because not so much of the infrastructure, but because of the magic, the programming, the events that take place within the ballpark. And that's really what connects back to our mission as an organization. I mean, we are a memory making platform for the community. We are a community engagement platform. We say if we're doing our job well, we put the stadium at the center of the community, and it's not just the Greenville community; it's the upstate community, and kind of let the community, let the region tell us what should we host, what should we spotlight, what should we feature, what relationships should we develop that's most critical to our area's success. And kind of doing that using baseball as the backdrop to it makes it super unique, and I think super appealing to people, which allows us to do why we do what we do. So it's it's about baseball. It started with baseball, but it's kind of sustained and will continue to sustain because it's about community and community impact and community engagement.
Thanks for that overview, Jeff. The Greenville Drive is often described as the front porch to our community. What does that mean? What does that mean to you, Jeff?
Well, it was funny because the Greenville News, one of our longstanding kind of media partners, relationships. It was an op-ed that one of their that the editor wrote leading into, I think it was the 2010 season. So it was very early on in the Drive's history, and we'd been here at that point for 4 or 5 years, and it was kind of leading into opening day of that season. And it was we had started and we had built some relationships and some early momentum, and it was we had become that we were slowly becoming the front porch of the community. And you know us well in our background, Carlos. You know that we love Greenville. It's become in our blood and our DNA, but we're not necessarily from here. We're from Michigan. We're from the Northeast, and so we didn't really understand what that meant, the front porch, like kind of in terms of the Southern way of life and the analogy of what that means within a community. So once we understood that, that what that meaning is within this area, that a front porch is a place to gather, a place to celebrate, a place to, come together and work through challenges. I mean, if that was the kind of the spot or the place we were carving out in the hearts and minds of people in this community, and we love that position. It was something we've wrapped our arms around, as an organization, in terms of if that's the role that we can play in this community, both in just the general community, the business community, and the like, we love that position. So it's something that we didn't quite understand when it first was given to us, but now we've wholeheartedly embraced, and it's part of kind of who we are, how we go to market.
That is one of the more awesome stories that I think I've heard since I've been here in Greenville, and you certainly live up to that moniker, the Greenville Drive. You have become the front porch of our community. So thank you. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, no, it's something that we don't ever take for granted. It's something that it's unique to really. We've lived in a bunch of areas, but it's really unique to the Greenville and to the upstate, and that the people, the individuals, the leaders, the business community. If you support them, they support you. It's very collaborative in that way. And again, we've been given we have a unique business, a unique kind of opportunity to support different people in a lot of different ways creatively. And as long as we continue, I think, to utilize, the platform, our position in the community for good, this community has shown just how much it'll support us in return. So it's such a two-way street that just kind of has worked out really well in that regard.
I once introduced Craig, your father. Um, I was introducing him at an event, and I talked about the Greenville Drive as a professional baseball team, and he wasn't too fond of that.
Yeah. Well, it's not, I mean, again, baseball's in our DNA. I mean, I grew up on it. Dad grew up on it. I mean, he grew up in, Detroit listening to the Tigers, under the bed covers, night 1968, the World Series, Al Kaline, the whole thing. I mean, that's what I grew up with, listening to him tell those stories. And then, I played baseball through my life and through college. And then now my son play. I mean, it's so playing like baseball itself, the game is in our blood. We love it. Um, I think if you got dad in an honest moment when he was getting started in this business, back in, 04, 05, 06, he thought he was getting into the baseball business, to be honest. Like this was a neat opportunity for him to kind of leverage a very successful business career that he had and kind of merge that with community impact and relationships and marketing and a lot of the kind of general things that in a growing community, a community that was at that point in the early kind of 2000s that started to grow but hadn't really taken off yet. And he thought he was, getting into the baseball business. And you find out really early on in this line of work that it's very neat to have baseball going on in the background, but very few people are coming to the ballpark for the baseball game. They're coming for family affordable entertainment. They're coming for fireworks. They're coming for our community programs and events. They're coming for those reasons. And the fact that there's a world-class baseball product going on in the background is what makes it unique. But it's not necessarily about the baseball, if that makes sense. So, I mean, well, one of our, any kind of time I'm giving a presentation or um, community talk or kind of overview tour of the ballpark, I mean, one of my favorite lines is in early slides is always, this is about so much more than baseball. And that's been true from day one and kind of continues to be true today.
Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina is a longtime partner of the Greenville Chamber and offers a wide range of health plans and options designed just for Chamber members. Companies with 51 or more employees have access to Chamber Blue, Blue Cross's exclusive portfolio of more than 40 unique health plans, with enhanced office visit copays, access to innovative apps, and more. Blue Cross is the only South Carolina health insurance carrier serving its citizens for more than 75 years. For information about our health plans for Chamber members, call the Greenville Chamber at 864-239-3723.
Now, the Drive and the Chamber have a long-standing partnership and relationship. You're currently on a Greenville Chamber board member, and your dad's been engaged for many years as well. Can you talk about how this partnership started and some of the key initiatives we worked on together beyond the board and your board engagement?
Yeah, I think been a really natural relationship. Sometimes with partnerships or relationships, it's kind of forced and you're kind of trying to figure each other out as you go. And this one's been just, whoever has been in the leadership positions on both sides, it's always been such a natural partnership. And I think one of the reasons, a lot of reasons for that, but one of the main reasons is kind of the role both organizations play is very similar in the community, both as a convener, both as bringing people together, businesses together, leaders together with programming and events and the like. And in a lot of ways, that's what we do too. And when you think of the community programs and the different things that we do at the ballpark, both on baseball game dates and also on a year-round basis, so it was really natural in that regard. And I think, both Dad and I being involved on the board side from a leadership standpoint, but then both our organizations, top to bottom, everybody knows each other so well. Whether it's our chamber night game day event, which I'm sure we'll get into more details on that in a little bit. But we've got 66 drive home games each year, and each one of those nights pretty much is very heavily programmed to spotlight a specific community program or initiative. And our chamber night event takes one of those nights every year, and we use the entire drive game to celebrate your your role in the community, your impact, your investors, your kind of everything about it. And so you've got that event. I mean, the annual meeting that we hosted a few years back, which was incredible.
Which was a big help for us. That was during COVID, and we couldn't convene indoors. But Fluor Field was the perfect venue.
And COVID was such a, I don't know what the adjective is, interesting is what I'll use. Interesting year for us and for everybody. And I mean, we didn't know it at the time when it was starting, but I mean, we became kind of the community's ideal social distancing platform during COVID. So, um, as we were quickly trying to figure out things that we could do inside the ballpark and bring people back together, whether it was the annual meeting, whether it was graduations or church services or just things that people were canceling because they couldn't be so close together, we realized we could do it here and keep people spread out. So that was really one of the only reasons we survived that year, which was obviously super challenging. So um, I mean that, and then I mean we've done some Leadership Greenville graduations and events, and like the Chamber Association that you just brought by a month or so ago for that event. So we've done all kinds of things together. I think it's been really neat to. I mean, you're bringing folks together on your side, and then to be able to utilize right down the street this platform to whether it's spotlight your impact on the community, whether it's help strengthen your relationships, whether it's spotlight any aspect of your people or your employees. It's just been really natural and strategic from the start, and we've been working really well together for many years.
Now, something that um, folks may find interesting is this jersey that I'm wearing for our interview today. It may look a bit out of place, but it has uh, significant meaning to our community. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back. I mentioned a minute ago the '66 Drive games, and every year, and those are home games. And this goes back to that point about this is about so much more than baseball. I mean, we take such a strategic approach to our calendar from an event standpoint and a community standpoint. I mean, our homestands for the most part go Tuesday to Sunday, and kind of week on, week off from early April to Labor Day. And our weekend dates are Thursday dollar drink nights, our Friday fireworks, our Saturday some kind of fun national act. Those are different. Those are more kind of your classic minor league baseball family fun promotional type nights. But our Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday days are heavy community programming, heavy our reading programs, our workforce career fair type programs are, and one of those are really stories, and they're opportunities to showcase a important part of a community of what's making an important kind of community program that we can use a baseball game to shine a light on, whether it's bring interest or awareness or excitement to. And one of those stories that we started, and we've been doing diversity, equity, and inclusion type of events from the very beginning 2 or 3 years ago. We, through different relationships with, Mary Duckett and Luther Norman and a lot of the Lillian Brock Fleming and the southern side, and the people that have been living in the West End of Greenville for 50, 60, 70 years, and kind of learning the stories and learning, the history of baseball and the upstate, and then also the history of kind of the African American side of the baseball history coin, and all of the stories that they had to, and things they had to endure, and things they had to go through. And through relationships, it was pretty clear that there was an incredible opportunity to tell a story through a baseball game of what really became Meadowbrook Park, which is where Unity Park is now, that just opened in the last couple of years, and Mayberry Field, which is, you hear stories of the upstate and baseball history and Shoeless Joe and Textile League baseball, and rightfully so. The level of baseball that was played at Mayberry Park, and the people that came through Mayberry, and just the quality of baseball that was played there, that in the story that was never told. I mean, the Black Spinners are that jersey that you're wearing. That was the team that played at Mayberry Field, because that was the only place they could play. And it was just learning all of the history and the story. It was just pretty clear that there was an opportunity to thank, recognize, the families, the individuals that are still connected to the Spinners, that there are still a handful that live here, to tell the story of, use a drive game to tell a story of make sure people appreciate the people that came through Mayberry, the level of baseball that was played there, their contributions to the history of the upstate and the community, and not just from a baseball standpoint, but from a broader standpoint. So we started it really 3 or 4 years ago. We'll have 2 or 3 drive games each summer where our players wear the jersey that you're wearing now, and we play as the Black Spinners. And then we've used it each year as an opportunity to broaden the celebration kind of all game long, to help tell the story of the Spinners and the community and all that they mean to us and to everybody, how much everybody should appreciate what they went through, and why a lot of what we're enjoying today is because of what happened, 50, 60, 70 years ago. It's an incredible story. I mean, especially when you um, get a chance to interact with, a couple degrees of separation of a family member that knew a family member that was there. And it's just pretty incredible.
I think it's great that you're doing that, and I want to thank you for honoring that history, and informing folks of that legacy.
Yeah, no, it's another example. I mean, thank you, but I mean, it's not. It's just us providing the platform. I mean, yeah, I guess we have to maybe start the conversation or get the right people in the room, but it's really I guess it's our we view it as, we have a unique, we bring so many people together through this place. It's almost an obligation for us that we have to make sure that it's great to have fun and to entertain and to come watch world class baseball for sure, but there's also an opportunity to really make sure that we're using it um for good, for impact in whatever way we can too, because there's people that are um and to tell stories that are important to helping our community thrive and continue to thrive.
Good deal. Now, um, we've got a pretty exciting event coming up on August the 21st. That's Chamber Night.
That's right.
What can our listeners expect from the Chamber Night event?
So I kind of hinted at it a few minutes ago, but so it's pretty much become kind of a mid to late August tradition on our calendar during a drive game where, um, again, I still think even after 19 years, people think, oh, that's cool, a baseball game, and it is, yes. But we then especially this is Wednesday, August 21st is going to be it's this year's Chamber Night event. We started. Our teams have been talking about this for 2 or 3 months already. I think that's another misconception, that people don't understand the level of thought and planning that goes into these events. I mean, these are multiple month planned events, and think of it as, or the people listening should think of this as it's a drive game, but that's got a very meaningful community theme, community event attached to it, that we're going to celebrate, spotlight, and kind of showcase all night long. And so from a chamber standpoint, I mentioned it earlier, being a convener of the business community, of the, bringing together and celebrating and advancing business leaders and companies in Greenville. So that's really the theme that we'll spotlight and recognize and thank all game long. Think about the honor of the first pitches and the captains before the game, and the game content itself on the video board and between innings entertainment. The centerpiece of the event is Blue Cross Blue Shield is I know a longtime supporter of the chamber, also one of our longest tenured partners from a drive standpoint, incredible community organization. They support this night, and so there's a huge kind of reception up in our 500 club area that includes food and drink, and networking and remarks and raffle items from Blue Cross Blue Shield. They take care of pretty much all the expense. It's $5 per attendee if you're an investor in the chamber. Hopefully have seen the invitations. I think they started to go out yesterday. And that $5 includes everything. So the food, the drink, the networking, the fellowship, the drive game, kind of everything. So it's kind of the best deal in town, and you'll get to come hang out. And the other neat thing that started last year too, it's always been a focal point Greenville Chamber celebration, which has been terrific. Last year, we started to also bring in additional chambers from throughout Greenville County, and not only spotlight the Greenville Chamber in terms of the impact here, but then also the role of all these chambers throughout the Greenville County, which was really neat to see last year when you take the cumulative effect of all those chambers together. So great feedback on that last year that we're going to continue again this year in terms of celebrating the chamber impact more on a kind of regional or countywide basis.
We're excited about that and look forward to Chamber Night on August 21st. Now, the annual blood drive is another significant event. How did this initiative come about, and what impact has it had on our community?
Yeah, so the blood drive event, so that's we host about 4 or 5 of blood drives on an annual basis, sometimes up to sometimes more than that. Our partnership is with the Blood Connection, which is Delise English is the CEO of the Blood Connection, one of our very close friends, and I've learned from all of our partners. I've probably learned more from Delisa and her team than any of our partners, just in terms of how important blood is to a community, in terms of making the community thrive and the need for blood. So we come together each year with the Blood Connection and do a kind of a creative, unique blood drive, kind of blood donation campaign using our baseball games and incentives and tickets to the games and special experiences and the like, and then also having the blood drive vans at Ford Field on certain dates to then encourage people to come out, donate blood, kind of impact others in a unique way, and then we'll tell the stories of that impact through the drive games, make sure people understand where their blood's going and that it's so much more than just kind of donating blood. And then we'll also do things like we have a thank you reception to any donor that's at the end of the season and the like, and bringing people together. But it's really, it's a unique way to use our platform, baseball games. The Blood Connection, the unique part about, obviously they're not the only one that collects blood. They are the only one though that collects blood, and that blood stays local. That's one of the biggest things. And so they're from here, they were born here, they're focused here. And that if you give back to the Blood Connection, that it's going to make a specific impact on this community and help this community, which is, again, another story that we love to help tell and get people inspired to participate.
Let's turn a trip to the branch into a tap on your phone. Let's hit pause on a lost debit card without hitting pause on life. That's how First National Bank is redefining convenience. With a top-rated mobile app that puts more security and control at your fingertips, and friendly people to help you succeed right by your side. Let's get started at fnb-online.com or your local First National Bank branch. FNB, member FDIC.
So, Jeff, one of the reasons that the Greenville Drive is doing good things in our community is because the Greenville Drive is doing well. And you're having a notable impact on our local economy and our community. What can you share with our listeners about the economic impact that the Greenville Drive, the business, is having on our community?
There's definitely statistics, and if you look at economic impact and business licenses and business sales and property values and all that and the like, when you look around the ballpark, and we take great pride. It's obviously a lot more than just us that factors into the success of this area, but it is really neat to see the role that the ballpark has played and continues to play in revitalizing the west end of Greenville and this area specifically. And it speaks to collaboration too, more than anything, I think, because there's some very unique public-private partnerships that have made this project really succeed. Investment in the quality of the actual infrastructure and make sure it was. Everybody loved it at the beginning, but you have to continue to invest and continue to make sure it's a focal point going forward, so it stays a high quality building and the like. And then, like I said, the real magic of the ballpark and that we've learned year after year is what happens inside the programming, the events, the initiatives. I mean, that's what keeps people coming back. That's why we've been able to, lead our league in attendance year after year after year. That's why we've been able to, provide consistent year-round, attendance from an events plus a baseball standpoint year after year after year. If it was just about baseball, again, you'd get that core baseball fan, but I think the novelty would have worn off a long time ago. Because the ballpark is at the center of the community and at the center of a lot of what our community needs the most. And we've been at the center of a lot of the, community's kind of special moments have all been celebrated here through all the different events and programs that they've attended. And so that's the reason more so than anything else that I think that the actual people have been coming back year after year after year after year, and why the impact around the stadium has been what it is.
And you're a great host. My daughter, who's going into her senior year of college, um, uh, called me about a month ago and wanted me to see if I could get tickets for the Savannah Bananas game, and that's not even a Greenville Drive game, but you're a great host, and another way that you're drawing folks and to the park, bringing them in like that.
Yeah, that's a whole other experience. And we're equal parts excited and nervous together for that. I mean, that's 2 weeks, the 26th and the 27th, where it's the Banana Ball World Tour. So it's hard to keep track of how big these guys have gotten now, but it's the Party Animals versus the Firefighters, which are two of the banana brands, I guess, now. And typically with the ballpark, I mean, we own the ballpark, we own the drive, we operate everything. So we don't, I mean, unlike other venues or other places where they might, whether it's a concert, whether it's a big event, they might just kind of hand over the keys and charge a fee and say, we'll see, let us know when you're done. We don't typically do that type of thing because our name is on this place, our reputation is here. And if somebody comes to a baseball game or an event at the ballpark, their experience, what they go through is that's what they think of us. So we take everything we try to control everything as tightly as possible. With this one, with the Bananas, enough people the last 2 or 3 years have kind of told us how much they want to see this, that we kind of felt almost like a duty to the community that we had to do it. So it's we're excited about it. It'll be definitely unique and interesting and very different than what anyone's seen before here, but it should be special.
Well, I picked up at least one Dad of the Year vote, um, securing tickets for her to attend that. So thank you for being such a gracious host. So we talked about the Savannah Bananas, but as we look ahead, what other new initiatives or projects are on the horizon for the Greenville Drive, for the rest of this year and beyond?
Yeah, I think we're always continuous improvement is such a big focus area for us. I think that goes within the walls of the ballpark, but also the surrounding area too. So it's continuing to invest in the infrastructure of the ballpark to make sure it's a high quality experience, that it's something that the fans have come to expect, that it's delivered year after year after year. I mean, a lot of the new things that people have seen or will continue to see is this. I mean, what's really emerging around us is this entertainment district idea. That's the West End has become kind of the entertainment area of Greenville, with the ballpark at the center of it in a lot of ways. And when you think of the District 356 area right next to the ballpark and the entertainment that's activated there, when you think of the Children's Theater project and that being kind of live and open for the last couple of years, when you think of the Bellwether, our restaurant that's right downstairs outside Main Street Gate, when you think of New Rome Brewery, which just opened across the street, the True Line live music project that's opening on Rhett Street, the Gather space that's been open for a couple of years. So those are a lot of the new things that people, and every 6 months there's some other new project that's announced and coming to the area. And we obviously don't own all of those experiences or any of those experiences, but we do try to have a seat at the table when they're developed, just because we're always wanting to add to the fan experience at the ballpark in whatever way we can. And if something goes up around us, we want to try to at least be a voice for how can this add to the experience that's going on at the ballpark. So there's a lot going on, a lot of development. It's hard to keep up with it. It's neat to see the energy and the like, and it's not slowing down. That's for sure.
Good. Really short. 356. So to the novice, to the baseball novice, what does 356? What does that represent?
It's Shoeless Joe's lifetime batting average, which, I mean, Shoeless Joe is is a Greenville icon. Um, and his house, which is the museum that sits at the top of what is that, Vardry, and it sits at the top of District 356. That's the Shoeless Joe Jackson Museum, and that's actually his house that he grew up on, right around the corner. And you've also got the Joe statue that sits out front of Main Street by the ballpark. So we've got these different touch points that nod to Joe, that nod to the story of. It's really a lot. I mean, obviously Joe is an iconic baseball player, but it's also pointing to just the role that baseball has played in this area for a couple hundred years, to be honest. And Joe came out of the textile leagues, and I already mentioned the spinners, and it's just a thread that's connected this community together generation after generation. And it's a story that we like to celebrate, spotlight, whatever way we can. So the fact that it sparked a lot of those types of questions when we say District 356, and people are, what does that mean? So it gives you an opportunity to kind of tell that story, which is neat.
Well, I use that that batting average quite frequently in business with my team. Oftentimes, folks feel a pressure to be perfect. So in baseball terms, that'd be batting 1,000. And I say, no. Perhaps the best baseball player to ever live, got a hit 1 in 3 times up to bat, and that's the holy grail. So he wasn't perfect, and you don't have to be perfect either. All right. Well, this has been a great conversation, Jeff. And again, I want to thank you for being here. And as we've centered and focused on partnerships, what advice do you have for other organizations looking to create their own partnerships?
Oh, it's a good question. I think a lot of it is what I've learned, and since being here. I mean, obviously the family, the organization's been here 19 years. I've been here a little over 8 full time, and I'd worked in marketing and advertising and the like, but I never worked on partnerships in this sense until moving here. And I think the biggest advice, at least in this area, in this town, just mentioning that collaboration point earlier, that this is such a town and an area with businesses and leaders that if you help them, they'll help you. So selflessness, and how can you, and we're not anywhere close to perfect, but that's always how we've tried to go to market with the ballpark is here it is for the community how can we use the park? How can we use the audience? How can we use the position we have in the community to shine a light on our community's most needed, most important programs? And because of that focus, I can't tell you how many organizations, how many leaders, how many people have then supported us in return because of that. So it's worked out really well in that regard, and and it's been kind of returned to us in spades, I think, because of that focus.
The Greenville Drive is a treasure in our community, and we're quite fortunate that you're here and that you do what you do. Again, Jeff, thank you for joining the podcast today. I do have a call to action. I want to ask our listeners to remember to buy their tickets for Chamber Night.
Right.
And so make sure you do that. I also want to take a moment to thank again our generous podcast sponsors: Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina, First National Bank, and Acumen IT. Thank you, Jeff, again for being on the podcast today, and thank you to our listeners for joining us and for helping us in our efforts to grow a greater Greenville. Everybody, take care.